You have found what lights you up. I'm your host, Sunny the Life Coach, and I'm here because I see you searching for something or someone out there to help you feel better. Something to take away the pain that you're feeling, the inadequacies. I know all of the things that happen in life can leave you feeling empty. Your search is over. This podcast is all about finding your own freedom and power to love yourself enough to shine in the ways you were always meant to, the ways in which you are already fully capable of. If you're ready for some real talk, some serious truth bombs, and a few F-bombs, you are in the right place. Let's do this. Let's get lit. Hey there and welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play today. Oh my goodness, you all, I am getting a little scratchy throat. So I was actually going to record an interview this morning, and the other person I'm interviewing did not want to do it because she is getting over a cold and, scratchy voice and all of that. So funny thing is, we rescheduled it for at the end of the week, and I am feeling my own cold and scratchy voice coming on. So it's going to be fun. Okay, we'll see how this goes. But I want to speak with you today about attachments. Not because it is a buzzword, but because we all have them. And few of us are ready to admit that we even have them, much less why we have them in the first place and why it just might be in our best interest to release some of them. So let's get right to it, because I think that I might have a lot to say on this topic, some examples for you, and perhaps some good old-fashioned advice that I've learned along the way when I truly sink into the notion of releasing attachments. And before I even get too far into this, I want to be very clear that I believe some attachments are freaking wonderful. They are. For example, I remember scrambling as a brand new parent with literally a week's notice, because we adopted, reading all of the books and trying not to freak out about how to care for a tiny human. And there was this book that I found so utterly invaluable that I ended up gifting it to every new mom at every baby shower that I attended after, having consulted it endlessly to figure out what I was supposed to be doing with said tiny human and how I was supposed to be treating him, how I was supposed to be welcoming him from the comfort of his amniotic sac into this crazy world of breathing air and bright lights and sounds and all of the things. That book is called The Baby Book by Dr. Sears, and it was an absolute lifeline because it tracked everything about baby from being a newborn until age 2. It was full of illustrations. This is how they look at this stage. This is what's happening in their bodies. And very important to me too was this is what is happening in their brains. And the entire book was around attachment parenting, which I thought was amazing because it started out with, and this has really stuck with me, it started out with the notion that Western civilization has this expectation that newborn babies are supposed to immediately acclimate from a warm and cozy womb environment to a crib environment, simply because that's what parents prefer. We spend all of this time on Pinterest trying to plan the perfect nursery with all of the best soothing colors and accoutrements. We hold those baby showers stating with conviction that the baby needs all of the things because we are getting ready to nest with baby, and that means we are going to take him from the womb to a sweet little cage down the hall. I mean, the colors are soothing, right? Well, I remember reading about this whole notion of transition from womb to nursery, and I was a little bit appalled by it, actually thinking of it from that perspective. I thought it just might be a traumatic experience. So for that reason, we latched on to the idea of attachment parenting from the beginning. After all, this kid needed to get to know us as parents, and he needed to know that he was safe and loved. And we did the co-sleeping thing for the first 6 months. And to be clear, that was not even the plan. The plan was to have him in the room with us, maybe in a bassinet by the bed, but I'm here to tell you, all of the swaddling would not fix the fact that this baby needed skin-to-skin contact from both parents. So yes, he slept between us for the first 6 months, and he slept so good. And that's what attachment parenting is. It's keeping your baby as close to your heart as possible. It's hearing them breathe. It's allowing them to feel you breathe. It's baby wearing, strapping them into a sling and just walking around with them, doing normal things, instead of putting them in a cage or a playpen or anything else. It's about connection. I'm sharing this with you to let you know of our first experience with mindful and intentional attachment, and also to let you know that having, even creating attachments is not inherently bad. Attachment can be a really good thing. It was for us and for our son. As mortified as many people were that we were co-sleeping with our kid, we were committed to doing it because it was our highest priority to bond with him early on. And for all of you who say, well, once you introduce that, you'll never get them out of your bed, I'm happy to report that it was such an easy transition at 6 months. The boy was totally ready for it, and so were we. We bonded just enough so that he felt safe to transition to another room and to his own bed. It was a beautiful thing. And baby wearing is the best. I cannot express enough how amazing that it is to walk around a store or eat in a restaurant with your baby strapped to you. It feels natural, much more natural than pushing a stroller or lugging around an infant car seat. Again, just that contact, like this human is not separate from you. He's a part of you, even if he wasn't born from you. Just a blissful thing that I wanted to share with you about the simple joys of attachment before we get into the hard shit. Okay. So much like this newborn baby who is just at the mercy of whatever his parents decide might be the best path to lead him on, and depending on which books they've read, who their consultants are, within the family, various attachments form throughout our lives through my own observations. I'm going to talk today about 3 very high-level areas in which we create our own attachments. Now, again, in the opening, I shared how I intentionally created attachments with a newborn, and there was a method to that madness. Because now I'm going to share the ways in which our social environment combined with our human brains might create further attachments, either intentionally or unintentionally. This is not about assigning blame or even cashing in on that ever elusive kudo. This is about awareness. You all, I'm all about awareness. That is the first step toward the rest of your life, in my opinion. Simple awareness, a level of appreciation. So here are 3 major areas that I see we have created our own attachments within or been nudged toward, either intentionally or unintentionally. Number 1, we are attached to our traditions and our sacred practices. Oh, that is a good one, isn't it? Especially coming off the heels of the winter holidays. Whatever traditions your family had, you want to carry those on, and you are freaking attached to them. Or you have shitty memories of your family's practices and you want to ditch those traditions completely and create your own new and improved version of that experience. One extreme or the other, and every flavor in between. The point is, we are attached to our traditions and the practices we deem as sacred, simply because these are the things that the adults that came before us did. If it was grandma's thing to make a gingerbread house around Christmas time, we want to channel that and do the same, even if we hate baking. We are simply attached to the notion that this is the best way to connect with grandma, that it would be through doing what she loved to do, even if we don't love it. We are attached to that ideal. And we're going to keep repeating it even if it doesn't make sense, even if we don't want to. And we're going to try to force that connection. We're going to make a pecan pie every Thanksgiving, even if no one likes pecan pie. We are attached to our memories and what we deemed as the idealistic version of grandma when we were 6 years old. Stop it. You don't have to do this. Grandma is not going to be bothered one bit, and if she is, she will get over it. I promise you. Your 17 family members gathered for Thanksgiving who absolutely hate pecan pie are going to be bothered, though. They're going to choke it down and pretend they love it just to ensure you aren't offended. Ooh, I just thought of a fourth one. We're going to talk about that too. You know who else was attached to their traditions and sacred practices? Indigenous humans. Yet, we made sure they released those attachments by scrubbing them clean of being savage now, didn't we? Sorry, not sorry. I had to throw that in there. But seriously, fuck pecan pie. I hate it. It's dumb. Seriously. Number 2, we are attached to our teachers and their ideals. Now, I know that some specific faces come to mind when I say teachers, like your parents and your actual school teachers. Let me be clear. The world is your classroom, and every person that you encounter is your teacher. It isn't just about your mentors in life. It is about your child, your neighbor, and the man on the street. Every encounter that you have is a teachable moment. And I think we can understand this on an intuitive level, but when it comes to mentors, social groups, and literal teachers, including our parents, sometimes we have difficulties in seeing them as fallible over ourselves. We think that if we're not getting it, something is wrong with us. We think that if they are no longer resonating with us, something is wrong with them. And that's the thing that no one ever really talks about. Some people and some experiences are meant to just be a flash in the pan, or they come in like a wrecking ball and then they are gone after all of the damage has been done, right? Leaving you to pick up the pieces. Oh, but what if that's not the lesson? What if the lesson isn't about you picking up the pieces? Because they did all of this damage. Teacher, parent, friend, sibling, man or woman on the street. What if the real lesson is your interpretation of that experience? Yeah, well, you probably already know that I was going to go there, but seriously, it's true though. It is always and forever your choice to allow your teachers to live rent-free in your head. You have created an attachment with them that is directly connected to your self-worth. Now that is the shit that you need to let go, because you are not who they identify as, nor are you who they decide you should be. For example, I'm going to pick on pecan pie again because it's about as easy for me as picking on liver and onions. Both of those things are just gross for me. Yet, for many, many years, I would pretend that I enjoyed those things because I was trying to please my teachers, my parents, my grandparents, my ancestral lineage, whatever, whomever. I just couldn't bring myself to say, this shit is gross, you all. I know you love it for whatever reason, but it turns my stomach. It truly does. And it takes a lot to finally come out and say that. Isn't that just the wildest thing? Some of us are ready to take it to our grave rather than say what we really think. I mean, releasing attachments to your teachers and the ideals they have instilled upon you are, quite frankly, the hardest attachments I've had to release, personally. Everything from there needs to be a pecan pie at Thanksgiving. There does not. Literally, no one wants this. To, I don't know, what's the anti-position? Thanksgiving means rest for the men folk, and they can fall asleep in their tryptophan dreams because they've earned it and they work hard for us. So this day they get to wear their pajamas and demand beer at 9 a.m. because, damn it, this is how this works. Listen, when I'm talking about these amazing attachments, I want you to understand that this is not about taking joy from your parents or grandparents. Oh my God, I love them. Let them have their moment. This is simply about when you get to decide your own moment. We are attached to our teachers, whoever our teachers may be. So let's recap at this point. Number one, we are attached to our traditions and our sacred practices. Number two, we are attached to our teachers and their ideals. And the third one, also adding a fourth, a little bonus, but the third one is we are attached to the idea of who we think we are. We are attached to the idea of who we think we are, our own identity. Yet we don't understand that who we think we are is largely based on items 1 and 2. Think about it. How has your identity been shaped or formed up to this point? From your environment and the people in it. Pretty much, right? We become who we are because of our experiences. And we are continuously growing and reshaping ourselves. We truly are. Sometimes that is subtle and sometimes it's a huge shift, but we are, in fact, shifting. I am not the same person that I was when I was 16. I still had a lot to learn about life back then. You could not have told me that, but it's true. That's a fairly easy notion to grasp, though. So let's try something different. Am I the same person that I was yesterday? That's a good one. My answer is no. I have evolved since yesterday. That is the way that I choose to see it. There's no wrong answer here. How do you choose to see it? Really though, last week I made a new friend. We just randomly met in a parking lot, started chatting it up, and we met for lunch this week. Last week, I wasn't the person who was this woman's friend. This week I am. That's a change in my identity. Subtle shift, yes, but still a shift. And are you the type of person who can make friends with a rando, as my son would say, that you just happen to meet in the parking lot? Let's say that you are. Are you the type of person who can fairly quickly ascertain that you are on opposite ends of the political spectrum? You still willing to pursue a friendship? Oh, a lot of us these days would say that's a deal breaker. Could you challenge yourself to give it a shot? Could you adjust that part of your identity so that you can see what you may be missing out on? There might be an amazing connection waiting on the other side of that barrier that you've put up when you said you can't be friends with someone who aligns opposite your alignment on the political spectrum. We had such great conversation over lunch, by the way. Didn't need to bring up politics at all. So, who it is that we think we are can become one of our attachments, right? Something about ourselves that we didn't want to let go of for whatever reason. Doesn't matter why we're attached. We think it does, but it doesn't. What matters is, do you still want to keep that part of yourself? You get to decide. You know that, right? Every day is full of decisions to make, and this is simply another one of those decisions. You get to decide who you want to be today. Yesterday is over. Let it go. Who do you want to be right now in this moment? That really is the key to releasing. It all starts with a decision. And if you're a list maker or need to see things visually, sit down and write out a list of reasons why you want to keep something or someone or a part of yourself, and be brutally honest about those reasons. I know I said the why doesn't matter, but if it matters a great deal to you, then ask those questions. Why do I want to keep this part of myself, this thing, or this person? And be onto yourself about the thoughts that come up, because there's one more attachment that I think we need to incorporate today, and that is being attached to the outcome. You all, that is trying to control. And you might even dabble in a little bit of manipulation when it comes to another human. You may not see this right away, but it's very likely there if you are willing to dig a little. You know what I'm talking about. For example, you might have a decision to make that involves another person. Maybe your friend offered you something and you need to give her an answer, but you don't think she's going to like it. You don't think she's going to like your answer. So you stress out over it for the whole day about how to deliver the message in a way that she won't be offended. You can't control what another person feels. Sure, you can prep and plan your delivery, but you don't get to decide how someone else is going to receive it, the thoughts that they are thinking, or the way they will feel about it. It's not about anything you have to say. It's about what they think of what you have to say, what they think. That's it. Not something you can control. Stop trying. You're going to lose that battle every time. You don't get to anticipate what a response will be, and you don't get to be mad about it when it's not what you wanted it to be. Well, you can be. Another one of the choices you can make. And you won't even feel the need to if you have released your attachment to the outcome. You won't feel the need about being mad if you have released your attachment. Let it go. Ask yourself, is this something I have control over? And if it's anything other than what you say or do, the answer is probably no. You get to decide what you want to keep and what you want to let go of. You also get to explore all of your reasons, and that's where you find your power. When you decide whatever it is that you decide, I am releasing this from my life and I like my reasons. I am keeping this in my life and I like my reasons. That is enough right there. If you like your reasons, why you have made the choice that you have made, that's all that matters. Ultimately, that's it. That's not selfish or self-centered. That's called having your own back. It's called being your best friend. It's called parenting your inner child. It's reconnecting to who you really are. Not the identities that you have assumed over the years, but the divine essence of you. And you don't need to be attached to anything. Not another person, not a place, and certainly not an outcome. You get to just be you. And I want to see you enjoy all of your expressions for the rest of your life. No one gets out of here alive, so connecting to the one that we are truly with the most is a game changer. As Rumi says, take someone who doesn't keep score, who's not looking to be richer or afraid of losing, who has not the slightest interest even in his own personality. He's free. Oh, how good is that? Not the slightest interest even in his own personality. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Being free. Freeing yourself. You are the one who can do this. It's been you all along. And I'm betting you know what your attachments might be. Which ones you have held on to throughout your own childhood and the ones that are no longer serving you. I know I started off talking about how some attachments can be created intentionally and from love. Those may well exist in your world and you might consider keeping them. Now, I also realize this episode is attempting to simplify something that might seem complex, and I just want to assure you that I understand if you're feeling a little overwhelmed in thinking about the decisions you are facing and what you might be willing to let go of. That is where the magic of having a one-on-one conversation with me comes in. I absolutely love doing this podcast. I love creating some takeaways for you each week that you can apply to your life if you choose to. That's what you get to decide to do. But there is no substitute for being able to interact, ask questions back and forth, talk some things through. Drop me an email and I'll send you my schedule link. Let's set it up. There's not a single reason I can think of why you shouldn't light up and shine on.